Good morning, good morning, good morning. Merry stupid o'clock, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, I'm coming to you an hour later because Sunday. God, I hate Sunday schedule. Ask any autistic, by the way, do we ever like our routines deviating, even if it's like scheduled to be that way? The answer is no. No, we freaking hate it. But anyways, we are going back to that horrible world of the JRC. But first, the usual disclaimers. First off, you are going to see a link to the train wreck of a report right there in the description box, along with the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject. We also include the templates. Sign your name, click on your senator, let's end adversive treatments and improper restraints in schools. It has claimed too many lives already. Also, we have the ever-present change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, finally, folks, obviously, I'm not all here yet. So, if I mangle any words or sentences or stare off into space and lose my track of thought, my apologies, folks, in advance. So, we are going back to where we left off yesterday. Evaluation, summary of findings. Now, don't forget to have your calming tea because when we're talking about the JRC, there's going to be some stupid. Also, before I forget, trigger warning. When we are talking about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid description of, as well as see clips of video surveillance footage of, people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, please use your headphones. And last disclaimer, Mr. Kitten is extremely needy this morning and extremely irritable. So if you hear him crying like he is right now, please also, my apologies on my co-anchor's behalf. Okay. Summary of findings and recommendations. Here comes the stupid. Sorry, folks. We do not have an edit button. He apologizes too. Inconsistencies with quarterly evaluations were noted among the PIO points given to staff members for the same first-time offenses. However, overall, the staff interviewed reported that the evaluation system is understandable and that the evaluations department makes efforts to cure all parties when an infraction is reported. Okay, so you're telling me that the staff agrees that chewing gum while on shift is a horrible offense. Okay then. Whatever you say, Judge. Whatever you say. Staff at the Stoughton residence in August 2007 expressed fear of being evaluated throughout and about the event and interviews thereafter. JRC has made genuine efforts to allay these fears and assure that the evaluations are conducted fairly and responsibly. Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Until they fire you for being a whistleblower. Guess what, folks? Evidence and documents to back up that statement. It's all in Autistic Hoya's massive archive. Pull up the link and see for yourself. Recommendations. Okay, here we go. Understanding that employees at any institution are not always enthusiastic about a system of evaluating staff, JRC could make additional efforts to ensure consistency among PIO points given for the similar first-time offenses. For the love of God, Judge, do you think it is normal to put employees on a goddamn point system? Who does that? Who does that? I mean, other than sales positions, when they are running a contest, when it comes to C stats or sales numbers for any given day during a particular hour, how in the name of God does a points system make any coherent sense when it comes to employees? Can someone explain that to me? What on earth are the people in Massachusetts who are in power on? Good God. Thought Missouri was childish. We seem positively cosmopolitan and progressive in comparison. This is insane. Sorry, but just God, could you be more condescending, even to your own employees? Do you give them a gold sticker too? Jeez. Additionally, JRC may want to take their open door policy one step further and inform staff during training that not only is raising questions or concerns encouraged, but raising a concern about a situation that does not turn out to be a real issue will not result in disciplinary action being taken against reporting the staff member, particularly when it is done reasonably and in good faith. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. Really? Tell that to Greg Miller when he brought up concerns about your unethical treatment. Let me guess, a non-issue would be bringing up the pain and the horror and the trauma of one of your victims. Moving on. GED and restraints. Okay, prepare yourselves, folks. This is going to be one of those hard areas that we have to read through. Summary of findings. The revisions JRC made to their GED policies with regards to application process. Oh, for fuck's sake, Judge, it's evil. How the hell can you all not see this? That person is completely incapacitated. They cannot defend themselves in any way, and they are not a they are not a threat to goddamn anyone. And you're still like, nope, just push that button. It's a behavior. Good God, what is wrong with people? I don't even understand the mindset that will make this okay. Verifications, notifications, and recording were an important step towards ensuring the safety of the students on the GED. You don't give a damn about the safety of the students, Judge. If you cared at all about those students, you would have buried this school a long goddamn time ago. You know, when they killed 6 people. This is ridiculous. Even if it was so much as negligence, it happens once out here. That place is closed down without prejudice. God. Currently, JRC does not maintain a policy specific to the application of other Level 3 adversives, including restraints, excluding the GED. Oh, good God. And you still think they're God's gift, Judge? So they can basically restrain them for anything? Even for blinking? Fantastic. Stellar place there, Judge. Sign me right up. God. Additionally, there is no clear policy delineating between emergency restraints and restraints utilized as aversive according to a court-approved substituted judgment plan. Oh, for the love of God. If it's court-approved, it's humane. There is so much wrong with that, I can't even begin. Nazis come to mind. You know, that was court-ordered and sanctioned too, Judge. Does that make it right? The distinction was difficult for the monitor to understand, particularly where a student's program indicates he or she receives adversive restraint for aggression or posing a danger to him or herself or others. Good God. I guess you want them to use that good judgment, right, Judge? You know, when they like, because you all think doing this is aggressive. You think, oh, just fucking kill me as an expression is aggressive. You think someone saying a curse word like fuck is aggressive. God damn. They probably would have never let my ass off of the 4-point restraint board. Recommendations. JRC should create a clear written policy regarding application, verification, notification, and recording procedure for non-GED Level 3 adversives. Or, we can stop punishing disabled people for being disabled. We could stop this completely ludicrous idea that we can treat neurological conditions with debunked a long goddamn time ago behavioral modification treatments. These disorders, Judge, are not behavioral, they're neurological. Neurological treatments make sense. This crap makes no sense. None. None. Understanding that applications for non-GED Level 3 adversives will differ from GED applications. These policies should be consistent with the requirements for GED verification, notification, and recording procedures. Oh, because if they get all the paperwork right, it's good, Judge. Additionally, there should be clear written procedures with regards to safety checks for any students placed in adversive restraints, for the love of God. So, folks, we're not talking about restraining someone who is obviously out of their head violent and getting ready to kill someone, okay? Adversive restraint means literally being restrained for a behavior they consider merely inappropriate. Like doing this, saying curse words, doing the normal shit that regular people do every day and don't get punished for. That's what they're talking about. Restraining people on a 4-point board over. Additionally, new staff should be trained and current staff should be retrained on the difference between emergency restraint and non-emergency restraint used as an adversive. Although there are very few JRC students whose programs are approved for adversive restraint, the possibility that restraint may be used as an adversive requires that staff clearly understand the difference between the two. Oh, for fuck's sake. If you would, Judge, allow me to introduce logic into the chat. Okay? Hello, logic and common sense and critical thought. Let's go ahead and bring that into the chat, shall we? How does the staff, knowing the difference between restraint that we would use on anyone going completely outside their heads and, restraining someone for, blinking too often. How in the name of God is them knowing the difference going to help that student that is now fucking helpless on that board? Oh, and by the by, for me and a good majority of the autistics that I have talked to, Restraining us to a 4-point board with or without shocks is more likely to agitate, frighten, and cause us to act with more fear, put us in more fear, fight or flight, than not doing so. My God, what is wrong with you people? Recording and emergency notifications. Summary of findings. JRC does not maintain a policy regarding how emergencies are communicated internally to staff members. All of the direct care staff interviewed who were at the JRC in 2007 reported first that they heard about the August 2007 incident from other staff that were talking about it, not an announcement made or a meeting held by the JRC administration or the staff supervisor. Gotta make sure everybody gets their stories straight, right, Judge? The monitor recognizes that in ongoing crisis or immediately afterward, especially when all the facts are not known, there may be not much to report to staff. Nevertheless, some policies and procedures about and methods to inform personnel needs to be instituted, even if an initial report is not totally conclusive of all the facts. A preliminary report and guidance would reduce concern and rumors. Oh, for God's sake. On the surface, it seems inform staff of something like this that's going on, right? But what did I tell you yesterday? Read between the lines on this one. What is he really saying? Have a meeting, make sure everybody gets their story straight, and that story is those were just some bad eggs who didn't follow policy and procedures, and that everything normal we do here is safe. It's bullshit, folks, and it's bad for you. Additionally, there is currently no written policy stating that all evidence obtained through internal investigations should be maintained for state agency review. There is also a policy stating what types of documents should be collected or created during an internal investigation of a report of abuse or neglect. Everything you do is abuse and neglect. My God, the fact that you have a food contingency program and you are allowed to starve your students and nobody considers this neglect? Oh, just by itself. Just by itself. JRC also does not seem to have a uniform drafting procedure with regards to changes made to written policies and procedures. Direct care staff also failed to follow proper notification and recording requirements during the August 2007 incident. Further, paperwork would have not made this situation better, Judge. The documents were all documented. All T's were crossed, all I's were dotted, but it didn't change what happened to those boys, now did it? And why? Because they live in this tattletale culture that is beaten into the staff where they could get in trouble for so much as chewing gum while on shift. So they are conditioned to follow orders without question. Paperwork did not change a goddamn thing. Stop it with the paperwork. It's so annoying. When asked about this, one staff member stated, "You do not think in an emergency," as an explanation for why the recording and notification procedures were not followed. For fuck's sake. Let's scapegoat the staff again. It's just some bad apples. They just didn't follow the rules. I want to know why we are not questioning the fact that these staff felt They were not allowed to question orders. Maybe not buy the Kool-Aid the JRC is spilling down your throat, Judge, and look into what type of environment inspires the reaction to just follow orders. Just saying. Recommendations. JRC should have a written policy and procedure regarding how emergencies that occur at the school or residences will be communicated to staff members. While there are certainly situations such as student behavior crisis, oh God, here we go with the victim blaming. It's the staff and the student's fault, right, Judge? It's not the treatment plan's fault at all. Oh no, oh no. It is the helpless, fucking restrained, disabled person and that one bad apple, right? God. Or to the emergency room, because that's acceptable. That direct care staff does not need to be made aware of. Oh, holy hell! So a kid who needs to go to an emergency room because of this hellhole, that is not enough for the staff to be informed? The At least immediately. Oh my God, it gets worse. Significant events should be communicated to staff by JRC administration in order to learn from mistakes and foster a transparent relationship between staff and administration. You mean make it clear what happens to whistleblowers, right, Judge? Gotcha. While new staff is trained on GED recording and notification procedures, yes, because that makes the GED a fine practice because you got the paperwork and it's court ordered. Judge, there was a lot of things that were court ordered that were horrible. Does the witch trials ring a bell to you? Salem, it was happened right there in your state. It was court ordered. I'm sure that made it perfectly fine to hang people for being a witch, right? God. This is the logic we're operating off of. This is the logic. And all the direct care staff interviewed for this report knew these procedures well. Staff should be retrained on the importance of following these procedures regardless of whether an emergency exists, for fuck's sake. That doesn't change a culture of torture, Judge. All that does is just make sure that these people, God, in particular, in-house monitors and shift supervisors should be trained on responding to emergencies, including how to maintain proper protocol in times of high stress. But let's not, care about the people we've put and traumatized living in fear. We don't mind, right? We don't matter, right, Judge? DVR and monitoring staff should be instructed to remind residential staff of this as well. A written policy and procedure should be maintained and related to the internal investigations of reports of abuse and neglect. While the Director of Student Services maintains his own notes and supplies these to the state agencies upon request, JRC should have a policy in writing regards to how and what documents and other evidence should be preserved or created for state agencies to review when a report of abuse or neglect is made. All administrators staff should also be reminded to maintain all internal records related to reports of abuse or neglect. Any errors should be made on this side of maintaining more rather than less records and information. Gotta cover our ass. Further, JRC should utilize a consistent method of drafting and redrafting policy and procedure documents. For the love of God, Judge, paperwork wouldn't have changed this situation. It didn't change the situation. Stop with the paperwork. All changes should be clearly identified and dated. Dear God, kill me. possibly through use of a log so that the reviewing agencies and individuals can clearly ascertain what changes were made, when they were made, and by whom. God. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close out this morning. Clearly, this judge is either really biased by getting paid, or he lacks complete critical logic, critical thought. Just. So, what are we doing here? The judge is scapegoating on the staff. He is scapegoating by victim blaming the students themselves. More of the usual. And he is droning on and on and on again about paperwork. Not realizing that earlier in this report, he literally stated the paperwork was done and the situation still happened. We also learned that the JRC functions in an environment where they treat their own staff members like they're goddamn kindergartners. When you have staff literally on a points system in a professional setting, you're treating them like children. And when you do that, they're going to act like children. So what does that mean? That means a lot of things, but in regards to an incident like this, when you treat your staff like children, when you cultivate an environment of paranoia and stress among the staff for being reported for the smallest little infraction like chewing gum while on shift, then it is no wonder why they never question orders. So, Judge, this is why this report and all your recommendations are absolute garbage. As long as this place is still standing, those staff are going to be living in that environment day to day. So they're going to pinpoint every single behavior that the DVR office tells them to. They're not going to question whether it's been approved by clinical staff or not. And why? Because of the stress and the paranoia you all have already placed upon them. Which means more torture and more situations like the August 26, 2007 incident, not less. The only thing these recommendations do is assist the JRC in covering its ass for the next time something like this happens, so that it can cover it up and the rest of the wide public, we won't know about it. And on those notes, I'm going to go ahead and close out this morning. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.